Welcome to Money Making Conversation Masterclass. I'm your host, Rashawn McDonald. I recognize that we all have different definitions of success. For you, it may be the size of your paycheck. Mine is inspiring people to develop a plan to reach their dreams. It's time to stop reading other people's success stories and start writing your own. You can only exceed expectation by believing in yourself. People always talk about their purpose or gift. If you have a gift, lead with your gifts and don't let your friends, family, or coworkers stop you from planning or living your dreams. My guest today is Bishop Marvin Sapp. He is a multi-platinum gospel icon, songwriter, pastor, and executive producer of the new TV One original film, Never Would Have Made It, The Marvin Sapp Story. We'll also be discussing his 15th album, Substance, released in June, marked Marvin Sapp's 7th #1 album debate. The album was released on his own label, Elevate Entertainment, which is distributed through 30 Tigers. We'll talk about his move from his hometown of Grand Rapids, Michigan, to my home state, Fort Worth, Texas. We're going to talk about that now. I'll tell you right now, it's a heat change, baby. It's a heat change.
Oh, my God.
But most importantly, we'll talk about his family, faith, and sense of humor from a person who has delivered such incredible gospel songs like Never Would Have Made It and The Best in Me. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation Masterclass, the one and only Bishop Marvin Sapp. How are you doing, sir?
I am great. I'm on top and rising higher. How are you doing?
Well, great. Let's get to the big move first, okay? Because I've been up in Michigan like it's shaped like your hand, and then you moved down to my state. Now, first of all, why did you move? And then we're going to talk about the elements.
Well, honestly, we can always use this, people would say it's cliche, but honestly, I moved because it was God. It was a God-timed move for me. And I needed change. And I didn't know how bad I needed change until I got here. Mm-hmm. And strangely enough, I waited till I was 52 years old to decide to pack my bags and move to another state. Mm-hmm. And took a church here. I burned the mortgage on the church in the city that I lived in, mm-hmm. had a successful church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 500 plus members actively were worshiping with us every week, and moved down here to start from scratch in essence. Mm-hmm. And I still have 3 storage units of furniture in Michigan. And, I just came here just to start over, start fresh. And it's been a great, great blessing to me. You talked about how I left a state that was shaped like a hand, and I'm thinking about I moved to a state that's shaped like a frying pan. It is amazingly hot in Texas, but it was good for me, and it has been good to me.
Well, I love that because, I was born and raised in Houston, and then people think because you're up in Dallas, Fort Worth, it's cooler. It's actually hotter.
It's hotter in Dallas than it is in Houston. It's more humid in Houston.
Yes,
because,
it is. Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's by the ocean. But no. I mean, they said this summer has been unseasonable.
Yes.
We've averaged 100 degrees and no rain for the last 60 plus days. Mm-hmm. Every day it's been 100 plus degrees. And this is something that I'm absolutely not used to. So I don't leave the house much. Right. And, but I have a great church in Fort Worth, Texas, and the Chosen Vessel Church. And if you get a chance, come see us.
Absolutely.
Or you can watch us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on any of our social media platforms. And it's a great situation. It was a great move.
Cool. I always feel, because one of my minutes of inspiration runs into your syndicated platform that runs on national. Yeah. So I always know, hey, that's my boy. Appreciate being a part of that powerful network. Our relationship goes back to Steve Harvey. And, when we used to play your music in L.A., before anybody was allowing gospel, I remember you stopped us in the airport and said, thank you, Mr. Harvey. I appreciate those checks.
Every time you play my song, all I hear is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Absolutely. But as you grow as a talent, as you grow, it was like when I was watching the movie, and the movie I'm talking about is the Marvin Sapp Story that's going to be airing on TV One. It's a TV One original. It was kind of like interesting because I started seeing how our relationship was being played out by some of these. Of course, it didn't extend beyond for the movie, but our relationship has extended up beyond that because he's the only gospel artist in the history of when we was doing the Neighborhood Awards. We did it for 60 years. opened the show. You were the only gospel artist I ever asked to open the show. And Steve Harvey and I sat down and thought about that, because we always opened at City. I just think it was time. And it was in Las Vegas. It was sold out, 19,000 people out there. And it was a blessing. So you have a gift, sir. That we talk about that gift. Your wife who's passed away, we talk about her in the movie Alive. We're going to talk about her more in a minute. Sometimes you ran away from that gift. And so many people in life run from gift or don't understand those gifts that God gives them. Talk about yours and the journey and how you try to make sure your children and people around them understand the value of gifts.
Well, I think, what people really need to understand is that where there is gift, there's major responsibility. And I think, that the reason why people run away from their gifts is because of the simple fact that the responsibility that goes along with them can be weighty, it can be heavy. And, when you consider, the responsibility of what you carry, sometimes you just don't want that responsibility. So I understand why people run away from their gifts. I did. Mm-hmm. As a child, I knew what my calling was on my life, mm-hmm. early on. Mm-hmm. But even though I knew what my call was early on, I still was like, I don't want this, because I looked at what other people have to go through with it. And I don't know if it's necessarily something that I wanted to be bothered with. Right. But when you have a gift and when you have a call, no matter how hard you try to run from it, some strange reason it always catches up with you. And you can give in easily, or you can do like I did and give in the hard way. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you're going to give into it. Right. So, I'm grateful that, I've been able to embrace what's on my life. And not only just embrace what's on my life, but by the grace of God, be able to carry it and use it, or rather parlay it into doing some amazing things. I mean, I'm the first, as you already said a few moments ago, the first male gospel artist to ever have a biopic of mm-hmm. his own. Mm-hmm. Of course, the Clark sisters did it as a group. Mm-hmm. Years ago, they did, it wasn't called a biopic, but it was a docuseries on, James Cleveland, the Barrett sisters, and so on and so forth. But to have a movie being done on your life, especially something that you didn't ask for, it kind of found you. Right. Mm-hmm. And to be able to share, your ups and your downs and what you had to come through to get to where you are. Mm-hmm. It's just a major blessing, and I absolutely appreciate it. Yeah. Some of the people who helped him get there, the Never Would Have Made It film. There's an original film, the Marvin Sapp Story, written and directed by syndicated radio producer and host Russ Parr, as well as. Russ, yeah. He was a co-writer on the project. I co-wrote on it. Russ mm-hmm. co-wrote on it, mm-hmm. and a couple other fellas. We all came together, and we just put our heads together and try to make sure that we gave people a story that was real, mm-hmm. That was authentic, but most importantly, that was encouraging, to let people know that, everybody, no matter how successful they may seem to be to your natural eye, everybody has a story that they had to come through something to get to where they got to. And that coming through it is possible, that you don't have to remain where you are, but there is an end to whatever challenge you face. And then you had my good friend on the show producing with you, Phil Thornton, was out there. Yeah, Phil. Me and Phil executive produced as well. And my relationship with Phil goes way back, because he was my record company executive mm-hmm. For many, many years at RCA Inspiration. And honestly, he left RCA Inspiration around the same time I left RCA Inspiration. Mm-hmm. My contract was up after 30 years, amazingly. Mm-hmm. In the Sony system. And he just decided he wanted to move on and do some different things too. But we remain friends. He's my frat brother. Mm-hmm. So that makes it easy for both of us, KA side, to the day we die, 5-5. Well, yeah, like I tell Phil, sometimes these conversations be going good, Bishop, then, want to start talking to a Q about them noops, see what I'm saying? And nephew Tommy, all y'all start huddling around, talking. I'm pretty on my left, I'm pretty on my right. but it's a blessing, man, to be able to share and for people to, be able to see and allow them to have some insight into your life. So they get a clear understanding of who you are as a person. So I'm honored. I really am. I'm honored, and I want people to watch it on the 21st of August. I believe it's going to be a great blessing to them, and I believe that they're challenged. Some of them are going to be challenged and encouraged to know, I get it. No matter how bad my child may be right now, there's still an opportunity for a turnaround. No matter how bad sick I am, there's still an opportunity for a turnaround. And to teach people to remain in faith in the midst of it all. I think that's what it's all about.
It's really a beautiful movie. We're talking about Never Would Have Made It. We will be premiering on the TV One network, the Marvin Sapp Story. I want to ask you this question. Is the movie a celebration of your overcoming the odds in your life or a tribute to your late wife?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's a celebration of me overcoming the odds of life and my children, overcoming some very, very challenging moments and still being able to rise above them and succeed in spite of. My kids, I'm so proud of them. My son works for Amazon Web Services. He's doing very well, just got engaged to a very lovely young lady. My daughter's in her master's program in psychology, just like her mom, preparing to get her PsyD. My baby girl is finishing her dual bachelor's in psychology and biology with the goal of going to medical school. Because of the trauma that they went through, they could have went a whole nother direction.
Right.
But because we taught them faith, because we taught them the importance of trusting God, even when you can't trace him, even though that's definitely a church colloquialism, trusting God when you can't trace him. I believe that that's the reason why they yet and still have been as successful and even moving forward in the levels of success that they have been in. And I'm a proud dad because of that. I know that I had them from 11, 13, and 16 till now, but their mom instilled such foundational morals in them, while she was here. It speaks to who they are as young adults today.
Absolutely.
But also I did wanted to pay homage to my wife. My late wife, MaLinda. She was an amazing gift. She was an individual who, in spite of her short life and her struggle that she had to deal with her health, she did some magnificent things. Because it's a biopic and because we got 90 minutes, wasn't able to really put all the things in there that she did. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that everyone knew is that the only reason why they heard Never Would Have Made It is because she pushed me to do it.
Right.
And that is an homage to her. That is me paying it forward and letting people know that the reason why they heard that song is because of that. But MaLinda, college professor in our city, she was director of psychometry at a mental hospital. She was on the board of that same mental hospital, a foundation board at that same mental hospital, High Rest Mental Health Services. She was the executive pastor of my church. She was had many different foundations and things that she was part of. And she was a community activist to the point that the Grand Rapids Symphony Orchestra named an award after her, the Dr. MaLinda P. Sapp Legacy Award, that they give away every year to some deserving young person or deserving community activists in our community of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And to me, that's important because they've never done that before. That's been done and named by the Grand Rapids Symphony Foundation. So, it's more to her than just what she did musically. Executive produced Thirsty, the record. She executive produced Here I Am, the record. She actually did the video where she was executive producer and did all the editing and all that kind of stuff. So, I could go on and on and on about what she did do. Right. However, I want everybody to know that this is me saying, she was a great woman, and my kids need to see that.
Right.
They need to
and say thank you.
Their mother,
and say
even
thank
after
you.
She's gone.
The beauty of watching a biopic like this is that, you can sing. And you're a good-looking guy.
On a good day.
So you got to get an actor in here. You got to get an actor in here that can hold some notes. They can hold some notes. The actor. And you brought in a good old friend, played a child on Steve Harvey's first sitcom way back in 1994 on ABC. Me and the Boys, Chaz Lamar Shepherd.
Yeah, man, Chaz is an amazing gift. He's an amazing singer, amazing actor. For those people, everybody's like, well, he don't look like you. I didn't even care. Mm-hmm. I was like, he can sing, he can act. Mm-hmm. We talked, we communicated, he tapped into the emotions, the things that I was dealing with.
And plus he's strong in his faith too. I'm just thinking.
Absolutely. He's a faith family man. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just honored, man, that when we contacted him and asked him to be a part of this, he said yes. And what's really amazing, a lot of people don't know, I met Chaz in the parking lot of West Angeles Church of God in Christ, maybe 25 years ago.
Right. Okay. I know exactly what that is. On Crenshaw.
And we were just talking. I was there preaching, and he in the parking lot. He had on some necklace, and I liked it. And I told him, I said, "Man, this is hot." Da, 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 da. And we went out and we talked and laughed. And I went to see him one time when he was on Broadway. Right. He was in Harpo for on the Broadway version of Color Purple. Mm-hmm. I saw him there and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Man, I'm in town doing business." And they told me you're performing. And he was like, "Why didn't you contact somebody and get a ticket?" I said, No. I bought my ticket because I wanted to enjoy everything that you were doing. So when the opportunity came to be able to possibly work with him, I was like, absolutely. He's the perfect person. And he did an amazing job. The
reason I just bring that up when I say, that he's strong in his faith is that it's not something he had to find that emotion or find the rationale, and it's natural and his approach to his life. And I'm not saying you got to go there and you have to have that deeply immersed values of faith. But I'm just saying is that's what you saw on that movie, and we'll see on this movie. That is Chaz Lamar Shepherd for real,
in every sense of the word.
My only thing, I'm gonna just tell y'all something about Bishop Sapp. One of the most entertaining, funny, naturally off stage. You see, he's laughing a little bit. He's showing me a little personality here because he preaches and he sings these amazing gospel song at the Neighborhood Awards. I used to always have him on the front row. And Steve would ask for him to be on the front row because he has a laugh. He's one of those people who laugh. He give up the body when he laughs. He gives up the body. And if you're a comedian, that's what you want. You want somebody you can see the laugh start up in the brow and go all the way down to his feet. And that's you laugh for real, Bishop Sapp.
Because I enjoy. Steve has always been great to me. When I say he's been great to me, like anything musically I've ever had, Steve made sure everybody and mama knew about it. He really has been, I don't want to say it like this, but he has been like a real cheerleader for me. And, with all of my music, and always been transparent, having very, very serious conversations with me about his faith and things of that nature. And I'm appreciative, but I also feel like just because you're a preacher, you don't have to be stiff. You ain't got to be that dude that don't have no sense of humor. If stuff is funny, it's just funny. Lavelle Crawford and that doggone, I never forget that day when Lavelle and David Mann was going back and forth.
That was in Atlanta.
Y'all almost had to carry me up out of there. And then of course, whenever I was on stage, they would always put me with my girl.
Cheryl Underwood.
Cheryl would hit on me the whole time. And it'd be the funniest thing, sit there and for us to just, the banter piece. So you got to have a sense of humor in life. The Bible says laughter is like a medicine. So the reason why I laugh like I laugh is because I believe that there's healing in it. So I'm just grateful.
All right. I love it. That was the only thing that was missing in the biopic. You really don't see that humorous side. But like you said, it's 90 minutes. All you can do is put so much in 90 minutes. But I'm just telling y'all, in real life, he's special because he lives life, he shows life, and he's an everyday guy. He walks in faith, but he also walks in the quality of what life brings to him to the table. And I'm talking about Bishop Marvin Sapp. His movie is going to be premiering on TV One August 21st. The Marvin Sapp Story, Never Would Have Made It. Now, Elevate Entertainment. Yeah. Now, Substance came out in June. You know, what made it different and what made it so unique? Substance.
Well, Substance is different just simply because it's on my own label. And the reality is that being on a record label for 30 years, a major label, being on Sony for 30 years, is different because now you run it, you own it. It's your responsibility to take care of everything. Before, you know, the record company give you a budget, you take that budget, you go in the studio or you go do a live record. And then after you get through doing that live record, you turn it in. Once you turn it in, that's it. You know, then they tell you when you got to take pictures, they find the art person to do the album covers and all this kind of stuff. So it's real easy. It's like that when you're the owner. Right. You know, so I had to do all of that myself. I had to make sure everything was done, mixing, mastering, photo shoots, find the art director, make sure all of the songs are coded. It's just a whole bunch of things that go along with being an owner that I didn't have to do just being an artist. But at the same token, the blessing of it is that gave me an opportunity to learn a whole other aspect, even though I knew it already, but to learn the whole different area of the business that I never had to do before. And it gave me an appreciation for those who work behind the scenes at the record company.
Right.
You know, things that they do, because it's a lot of work, but it's exciting because I'm my own master now. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not owned by anyone. You know, I take care of me. Right. And that's a great, great feeling, man. So Substance is the first of hopefully many on my own personal label. This is my 15th record, man. Do you know that's a lot of music? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. That's a lot of music. So, you know, I'm excited and looking forward to bigger, better, and greater.
As we close out the interview, there's two things I want to bring up. I could always talk about fear on this show, overcoming fear. You know, people tend to stay at the same job, stay in the same relationship, fear of losing weight, fear what their children might think of them. And in this interview, you've talked about two things that fear could have stopped you. Okay. Right. Fear could have stopped you from starting your own company, leaving the record label. You've been over 30 years. And fear could have stopped you from moving from Grand Rapids to Fort Worth, Texas. Those are two prominent things in this interview I want to remind people that they heard come out of this interview. Can you say how were you able to overcome those dramatic moments in your life? And it was never seamless, but much thought and much faith was put into that process. So people who are listening and watching can use that same nuggets of information to mostly get them over the hump.
Well, I think that's what they need to understand. And you said it. You said it powerfully. You said, you know, fear, it took faith. And fear is literally the opposite of faith.
Yes.
You know, and I just had enough faith. I've been trusting God all these years, and I pretty much know the pushing, the urging, the voice, the unctioning of God. And once I made a decision to transition, and it took some time, trust me, I didn't just wake up in the morning and say, you know, I'm moving to Texas. Right. No, it took a few years. And because it was a struggle, because I was thinking about, this is key. I was thinking about all that I was leaving.
Yes.
But I never thought about all that I was going to receive in the future.
Wow.
And see, that's why we stay stuck, because we're so busy looking at what we have that we never think about what we could have.
Wow.
And I'm doing better now than I was doing in Michigan. I'm happier now than I ever was in Michigan, at least since the passing of my wife.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, like, it was a great decision. The church in Grand Rapids is better now because they have a new pastor and they're moving forward. This church is better because they have a new pastor and they're moving forward. So it's just, man, all the way around, it was a leap of faith. And I came by myself. I didn't bring nobody with me. I literally moved like by myself. And when I got here, I didn't know anybody. Now, we're growing, we're establishing relationships with people. We were here 6 months and COVID hit. So then we was in the house by ourselves, just me and the 3 kids, because they were afraid. They moved here and stayed with me for maybe 6 months before they all decided to venture back to the places that they were at. So, I mean, you just you gotta jump.
Absolutely.
You just gotta jump.
Absolutely. He's Bishop Marvin Sapp. Never would have made it. The Best in Me. It's his own independent record label now. But more importantly, August, that's a Sunday, 21st of this month. Never would have made it. The Marvin Sapp Story. You got to watch it. You got to watch it because I learned. And also, it's a moment. It's fine acting, but he appears in there. I'm not going to tell you how. But he drops in there, dropping those nuggets. And I loved it because I came from the hood, a community just like him. And my family was the McDonald family. And somehow my mom, man, she just held it down like your mom. It was all kind of activity that wasn't good around us. And she had 6 daughters and 2 boys, including me. That was 9 kids. So, but when we moved out of the neighborhood seemed like it just collapsed. So I know what story you're telling about your mom. Her strength and respect can cause other people who are not on that path to stay there just long enough just to keep the evil out of the house. And that's what she did. And I really appreciated the story you was able to tell about her. But more importantly, I appreciate you sharing your story August 21st on TV One, the Marvin Sapp Story. Appreciate you, Bishop.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. We talk soon. All right. If you want to hear or see any of these interviews, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald. I am your host. Keep winning.